Welcome to Creatively Optimized, the podcast for service businesses ready to shine online. I'm Jenny Belanger, the founder of Jenny B Designs, a web design studio that builds strategic and beautiful websites that are designed to book you ideal clients and make you money. With over 10 years of growing my own design business, I'm here to share tips to creatively optimize your business. Get ready to learn web design strategies for high converting websites, digital marketing tactics to reach ideal customers, and systems to simplify operations. If you're ready to blend creativity and strategy, you're in the right place. Join me on this journey to creatively optimize your unique business. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome to the Creatively Optimized podcast. Today, I have a guest expert, my friend Bev. Bev is an email automation strategist and ConvertKit consultant at Your Personal Tech Fairy. She transforms your tangled email funnels into a system that's streamlined, simplified, and effective so that your emails land in the right people's inboxes. Her approach is grounded in understanding the nuances of your business and your values so that you can automate with heart. I really loved our conversation. I learned such a great hack and a way to kind of level up my email marketing experience for those who are getting on my list and to kind of glean some more understanding as to where my people are signing up on my website. If you are new to email marketing or if you've been doing it for a while and are looking for ways to kind of spruce up what you're doing, you will learn a lot from this conversation. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, hi, Bev, and welcome to the Creatively Optimized podcast. I'm super excited to have you here.
I am so honored to be here, Jenny.
Oh, awesome. So, I read your bio in the intro, but I thought maybe we could start by sharing a little bit about your journey, kind of where you got started and kind of what led you to being here now and what you do.
Absolutely. So, like a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, it's been a very topsy, windy road to where I am. My journey as a business owner started out as a jewelry designer and metalsmith. So, I started this business on Etsy initially, like this point over a decade ago, which is just so wild to think about. And I realized when I started that business, I knew nothing about running a business or marketing and figured out pretty early on the importance of email marketing. And I somehow started to become one of those folks who, within my local, network of fellow handmade business owners, just talking about email, like make sure capturing people's email addresses, and it doesn't matter what you email them about as long as you have a way to get in touch with them. And then from there, I pivoted that business into teaching jewelry making and really got into the back end of ConvertKit and creating these really robust automations and selling digital products. But my heart just wasn't in it. Like I never intended to teach jewelry making. Although I did love when I get emails from people saying how you know, the the joy they felt in doing something creative. Like that part to me was fulfilling, the rest of it was not. But along the way, I realized I was really enjoying learning ConvertKit and I knew a decent amount about email marketing and started my current business, Your Personal Tech Fairy, just because I was like, I like ConvertKit. I like being inside of it. I know this is not how a lot of business owners want to be spending their time. So let me support them with that. So when I started this business, I was really just focused on the tech piece of it, hence Your Personal Tech Fairy. Wasn't sure if I was going to focus just on ConvertKit, but I'm all in and all in on email marketing. And it's been it's been a fun journey that's brought me here.
I love that. I feel like you're kind of like me. Like, I love the back ends of the systems and like
Yeah.
setting things up and like figuring out all those details. And there are so many business owners that they don't love doing that. And that's
Mhm.
why we get to work with them and like do all the behind the scenes. And so that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
So maybe we could like today's episode is about nurturing website visitors through email
Mhm.
marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start by the top, just like what we mean by email marketing, and perhaps how you see the relationship between email marketing and your website.
Absolutely. So I just want to be clear when I say email marketing, I think this is a great starting point. I mean permission based collecting of people's email addresses. It's not, first of all, it's not sending a BCC'd email to people in your network. I think most of us have been on the receiving end of emails that maybe they were relevant at one time, but are not, and you're still stuck on this BCC'd email. And basically to do email marketing right, you need an email marketing software that allows people to unsubscribe, and that's part of the Can Spam Law Act here in the US, but it applies there's other similar laws, across the globe, and caveat, I'm not a legal expert, so don't quote me on it. It's basically reaching out to people who have given you permission to be reached out to, while also enabling them to decide on their own with a click of a button that they don't wanna hear from you anymore. And another thing I do wanna add as we talk about what email marketing is and getting that consent, that another piece to consider is also that just because someone gave you their email address in exchange for something, and by something, I mean, a lot of us talk about, lead magnets or something. You give me your email address, I'll give you this guide, this private podcast feed, this template, whatever it is that your business does. Just being careful about that because especially when you think about international law in GDPR, you have to kind of take that extra step to make sure that they consent to receiving marketing emails from you. Technically, you have to be able to give people just the thing that they ask for without adding them to your email address, but that's a whole other can of worms that I was not intending to talk about today, but I do think whether you're already doing email marketing or thinking about doing it, it's important to recognize. And then in terms of how it relates to having a website that nurtures people who might become paying customers or buying any products you have, is that your website is kind of like your home. It's inviting people to take a peek in, and then inviting them into your email list is really about like taking that next step. Not just, hey, come see my house, but come on in, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and tea together and get to know each other. And while it might be you emailing them, I really look at it more like a dialogue. It's about connecting with people who are saying, "Yes, I wanna learn more about you and your business," and it's about getting to know the people, inviting them to, reply to emails, to click on links, that it's more back and forth versus you talking at them.
Yeah. No, I like that home analogy. I actually use it a lot. I say your homepage, like that's like, your front door. And then when you go through the pages of your website, it's like walking down the hallways of your
Mhm.
business if you were to actually have a physical space.
Yeah.
And that email conversation, it's just that, like it's a conversation where, you're getting to know the person and you're sharing information that might be useful to them and building that know, like, and trust factor.
Mhm.
And I think having email marketing as part of your website is such an important piece. I I always encourage like having an irresistible freebie, I called it, like a really value-based free option, something to give the person in exchange for their email address so that you can continue the conversation beyond someone just coming to your website. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we visit someone's website and we think that person's great. And then, chances are we're probably not going to go back unless we can start having conversations through email.
Absolutely. And actually, I wanna just if you don't mind, circle back to the point you brought about having that irresistible freebie. I look at it as kind of a yes and. Partially because I think a lot of business owners get very stuck on, well, what should my freebie be? Like, and that's the thing that kind of holds them up from getting started with email marketing. It's like, well, I don't know what people in my audience want with for free. And you kind of end up in this rabbit hole of trying to figure it out and like perfecting it. My, recommendation would be don't worry about that. Start with a simple form that just not just sign up for my newsletter because 'cause we're in a day and an age where everyone's inundated with emails and no one wants to sign up for a newsletter. But how can you position your newsletter in a way that whether you're giving something away for free or not, that you are providing value? So for me, most of my newsletter signups in the last month or 2 have not even been to a freebie. It's been to my newsletter itself, either through the footer of my website, which thanks to you, Jenny, in one of your episodes where you talked about, like, I forget which episode, but I went and updated my footer. Maybe it was about footers. I don't where I updated my footer and just have a link to my newsletter where I do position it. It's not just like sign up for my newsletter. It's sign up for the Automate with Heart newsletter where you will learn XYZ. And of course, I'm forgetting off the top of my head the exact language I use, but I notice I get people signing up through my footer. I get people occasionally signing up on the newsletter page itself, but I've been surprised by the number of people signing up just for my footer. And I can tell because of how I set up the back end of ConvertKit so I can see which things people are signing up for. And then also, ConvertKit itself, the email marketing software I use has, and I think you might know about it, the creator network where you can recommend other people who use ConvertKit. And I've been getting a lot of signups through that. So just other business owners recommending me. So,
That's really cool. That creative network, I always forget about that. That's a good mention. I'm gonna put that in the notes. And I'm impressed that you got people just signing up for your newsletter in the footer, but it's
I
all
was
about that
shocked.
positioning.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I know, because I feel like so many times when someone's starting out, you do get stuck on that freebie. I'm like, what can it be? And if you can position just something, your newsletter, as giving value, I think people are definitely likely to sign up for it.
Yeah. And if you're thinking, okay, well, great, I haven't started my newsletter. I don't know what it's about. So how could I possibly position it? Again, just start simple. Say, like, here's my newsletter. I'm going to email about this topic because you probably have a sense of what, based on what your business is, what you might email about. And I'm really of the opinion that the more you write, the more consistently you show up for your newsletter and you think about what sets your business apart, the more you're able to position your newsletter, and it always ties back into your copy on your website. Like, it's not like this distinct thing. You can not basically, you can repeat a lot of the information because you're just kind of dry. You want that consistency of here's what my business is about. Here is how I do it this specific way, and it shows up both on your website and in your newsletter content.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So along that lines then, maybe you could talk to us about what information we should be capturing as we
Mhm.
share these freebies in the newsletter and all these opt-in for.
Absolutely. So part of that, I would say, depends on your business model. If they are people, like you and me, who are primarily consultants, service-based providers, coaches who have smaller audiences, like we're providing more one-on-one work, then you don't need a giant email list. And therefore you can kind of capture a little bit more information. So the things that I like to capture and recommend for a lot of my clients is your name, first name, definitely, so that you can do some bare minimum personalization of the email. It's, nice. It's a little friendlier to see like Dear Jenny instead of Hey there as, the top of your email. So first name, if you'd like, if it would make sense, depending again on what your business is, you might ask for a last name. If the nature of what you offer might be a little more sensitive. Like I was talking to someone who's a marriage therapist. The people coming onto their email list might not want to give that information away right off the bat. So you could ask for it but not require it. Obviously, email address, and then I like to ask a question that enables me or and my clients to kind of pre-segment folks as they come onto your email list. So for me, I ask currently, do you use ConvertKit? And then there's one of four options that people can choose so that I can right off the bat, they're identified and put into one of four buckets based on what they ask. And then when they enter my welcome sequence, they might see a slightly different version of my welcome sequence depending on what they answered. So one of the emails people get is a kind of a custom tailored resource. And the resource I share with them is based on what they answer. So someone who's already using ConvertKit, I might recommend some Liz Wilcox's email templates. Someone who identifies as thinking about ConvertKit, I might share about, I'll share with them why I think ConvertKit's a great platform and also share my affiliate link, which of course I disclosed right at the top of that email. And so you can really therefore kind of personalize and send more targeted emails based on what you're capturing about people. If you are giving away a freebie, this is where things can you have to get a little trickier, a little more nuanced. So being really clear that people are signing up for your either positioning it so you're being very clear that people are signing up for your newsletter and they're getting a freebie, or the way I currently do it, if they're signing up for a freebie instead of my newsletter, they have to check a box that says, yes, I give you permission to email me. And yes, I recognize if the whole point of giving away a freebie is to get people on your email list, then of course we want them to consent. But I think in the way we're going, and I imagine with email and privacy and all of that, that we might have to be more careful about that. So I might get people who sign up for my freebie and don't give me permission to email them, and therefore I don't gain them as a new subscriber. But I've actually been surprised by how many people have given me who have taken that extra step to check off, yes, I consent to you sending me marketing emails.
So there are so many things I want to talk to you about in there, but I actually that privacy, the privacy laws that you shared about, I actually learned that through you. I think you had a video that I watched that shared with you
Mhm.
how you do freebies, and you have the person actually check off the box,
Yes.
which I think is so proactive and like I think you're ahead of the curve. But I agree. I think things are going that way that we need to get that permission. But if
Mhm.
someone were to, do the other way, maybe like I think what I'm trying to get at is I feel as though you have some tagging going on in the
Yes.
back end.
Yes.
Could you talk to us about like what happens when someone makes that selection? Like I'm just getting started with ConvertKit. Like
Yeah.
how do you segment? Like what's going on in the back?
Yeah, so in ConvertKit, they're called tags. A lot of email marketing softwares will refer to them as tags. In MailerLite, I believe they're called groups. Not a MailerLite Pro, so I don't know 100% how all of it works in the other ones. But basically, a lot of times with your email marketing software, if you're using their built-in form, or basically the thing, ConvertKit calls it landing pages and forms. Other softwares may call it something else. But the thing that allows you to capture people's information, if you're using usually the one that comes with your email marketing software, a lot of them will give you the option to add some extra questions in addition to like the default, email address. So in ConvertKit, the way it works is when you're setting up a form, you have the option to add extra fields, and it might be you can choose either, to fill in what it's called a custom field, and that's things like name, email address, anything that kind of has infinite number of responses. You can also choose to have a tag selected. So you can either do it as a drop down menu, which forces people to pick one thing, or if your question is asking people for, what topics do you want to hear about, and they can check off more than one, then again, those would be tags that people are checking off. And so each response is tied to a tag. So this all happens automatically. It's not one of those things where, okay, great, I see that people identified and now I have to go manually like do something in the back end. It all happens like on the front. You set it up and it's done. Like people sign up, they get tagged automatically. And it's a really helpful way to start to understand who's coming onto your email list. And then in terms of asking for consent, it's the same thing. I have a tag that's a yes, I give consent tag, and people, if they check it off, that tag is added. If they don't check it off, it will still send them the freebie. And then after a few days, it will automatically unsubscribe them. That's how I've set it up for myself and how I would set it up for anyone else who wants to set it up to have
Mm.
that consent button feature.
So it's all kind of like tags behind the scene, and based on the certain tag, an automation will take place and put the subscriber where they need to go.
Yes, exactly.
Now, so can I ask you, we're talking about like the forms for your freebies or your opt-ins. Now,
Mhm.
you mentioned that you added the footer in your footer, you added the newsletter sign up.
Yes.
That isn't a full form. Is it an embed or do they have to answer questions there? Tell me
Yeah.
how you know that people are signing up through the footer. Like, where's the magic in there?
Yeah, again, all how I set it up in ConvertKit. So basically, I created so my website's built on WordPress. I use Elementor. So I create all the design elements on Elementor. And then I create in ConvertKit a form, like a very basic form that, and I'll be, even though I'm talking about asking more questions in the footer, it would be a little cluttered, I feel like, to have too much information. So I keep it a little more basic. But basically, I have a few different, I have the form. I created it once, put up, so it just asks for name and email address. And I updated all the settings and then I duplicate it. So I have one that's like for my homepage and I've just called it that, like, newsletter dash homepage, newsletter dash footer, newsletter dash about page. So when people sign up, it's from their view, it all looks exactly the same. But when they sign up, I can see which form specifically they are signing up from. So while I can't say with certainty which page they are signing up for, if they are signing up in the footer, because that could be on any page. I'm not gonna make a custom footer for every page of my website. But, like, I can see, it's still helpful information for me to know because it means that regardless of what page they were on, they scrolled down and, like, looked at my footer and said, "Oh, hey, I wanna get on Bev's newsletter." And I'm realizing until I listened to your earlier podcast episode, like, what a missed opportunity that was. Like, how many people have I missed for them to give them an opportunity to like raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I want to be on your email list," because they scrolled to the bottom and there wasn't anything there and maybe they left or who knows, maybe they clicked somewhere else. They were really determined to get on my email list. But, we want to make it as easy for people as possible.
Awesome. I think the episode I'll link it below. I think it's about high converting websites, perhaps, but where I share that the footer is on every single page. Like it's valuable real estate. So
Mhm.
put something good there when you get to the bottom.
Yeah.
And you're taking things to the next level. Now, I didn't think about this, but you are so right. Like, what valuable information to be able to understand what page and where they got your newsletter or freebie sign up. And I'm going to do this from now on. Like, I have the simple form,
Yeah.
which I embed everywhere. But if I
Mhm.
just duplicated it and named it on the page that it's going at or in the footer, then I would know exactly where they were signing up. And so that's next level stuff. I love that. And I'm definitely going to do that to my website. Thank you.
Yeah, look at us learning, learning these things from each other and implementing them on our website.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what can we include on our opt in to get more information about our visitors? But just doing that, just knowing where they have the form and where they're signing up for is super helpful.
Yeah. And to take it kind of just one step further or kind of along those lines, if you are sharing like if you're doing summits or bundles or whatnot and you have different ways that people are coming onto your list, again, you can duplicate a form and create one specific to that summit or bundle. Just so you have again, you can see, oh, this person came onto my list from this summit or this bundle. And then you can over time start to see like, where are the people coming in from your list onto your list from, who are turning into customers, or you can say, "You know what? I did all these summits and none of them turned into customers, so I'm gonna stop doing summits." Like, that's also valuable information as a business owner as you're trying to figure out what strategies are working and not. You can do the same thing with social media, have a different form for, like, whatever social media platforms you're on, so you can say, "Oh, people are coming onto my list from Instagram or LinkedIn or whatnot."
Yeah, that's valuable. So you know where to put your time and energy because I know we all
Yes,
have a limited time and
exactly.
energy.
Yes.
So tell me, like, working with your clients, is there one mistake that you see over and over that we should be aware of that we could make sure that we don't do?
Yes. I would say it has to come with tagging. And in particular, over tagging basically over tagging slash how we name them. So I actually just did a training about this. So my recommendation is to create a naming convention so that would make sense to you and then just stick to it. So if it's like product dash the name of the product or interest dash the name of the interest. So just like thinking about the different categories of information you need and then naming it in such a way that you as the business owner or anyone on your team can look at this information and know exactly what it means. And I do dive a little bit deeper into it in my subscriber strategy training through how you actually do all of this. But that's one thing is being clear on when things are named and then wanting to just tag like every link clicked. Identifying certain link clicks can be really helpful. So this means, let's say you have a sales page on your website to like a service you have or your call booking link and you want to see like you want to be able to easily identify who's clicking on those links. Like this can be really helpful information, but clicking on a link to like every single podcast episode you've ever done or every single blog post, it's going to get messy and unwieldy. And unless you have a plan for it, I would recommend not doing that. So, like, with the launch for my subscriber strategy training, I did want to know who was clicking on the link to the sales page. And then I took it a step further and want to know who clicked on the link in each individual email. But then I'm going to delete that afterwards because it's outside of this period of the launch. It's irrelevant and just gonna clutter up my ConvertKit account.
I think you like hit it right there, like clutter, because I
Yeah.
am definitely that's me. I have too many tags and I don't have naming convention on
You and
anything.
oh, yeah, it's you and everyone else. Like, I feel like every time I get on a call with someone, we start talking about tags, like, I'm so embarrassed by my tags. I have so many.
And I want to say it's because like I converted to ConvertKit and they all came
Mhm.
over from my other program, but I think it's probably not. I think I just like let it get out of control and I don't have a naming convention, which I need to get done.
Yeah. And you bring up a point that if you are thinking about switching from one email marketing software to another, I do recommend cleaning things up beforehand so that it's a little less work once you've switched over.
Is there like well tell us like yeah, I know you're a ConvertKit person.
Mhm.
Tell us about what you recommend for everyone or,
Oh gosh. It's such a nuance. It's a question with like such a nuanced answer. I think it really depends. It depends on what feels good to you, honestly. Like, I have people who switched from something to ConvertKit, and they're like, "Oh, ConvertKit, like, this just feels better." Like, I remember working with a client who switched from Flowdesk to ConvertKit, and they were like, "Oh, something about ConvertKit just feels right to me." I've had people go on to ConvertKit and say, like, "Nothing about this is intuitive to me, and I hate being here." So, I would recommend first off, just like, a lot of these will have free plans or free trials. Go inside and look and see what feels like it's something you would actually want to like, it makes sense to you. And then the other piece of that is thinking about what is gonna allow you to grow. So and part of that plays into pricing. I know people, especially if you're a newer business owner, it feels like, just another expense, and I see people debate the merits of an email marketing software based solely on the price, and yes, I get that, and is this going to help you in the long term? If you're trying to save money in the short term, but it's going to not work for you in the long term, then that's gonna actually end up costing you more money and time because you're gonna have to switch. So, yes, look at how much it costs in the short run, but is it something you feel like it's going to grow with your business? Like, one thing, if you have a type of business that needs a lot of tagging, I learned from my friend Tamima Guest, who specializes in MailerLite. We did a kind of a workshop a few months ago to compare the features. And she was saying if you have a business that rely like you need to do a lot of tagging, MailerLite actually would not be a good option. So, and again, if you're coming into this saying like, well, how could I possibly know? I'm just getting started with this. I don't even know what a tag is. I unfortunately, my answer is somewhat limited, but I think knowing what you're using, what's going to integrate with other things you're using is also really helpful.
I use and love ConvertKit too. I did find that it was like there was a little bit of a learning curve, but once I
Mhm.
got it, like I really love it. It had so feature rich and like it can do everything that I want.
Yes.
But a lot of times I mention to my clients who don't have an email list that MailerLite is a decent place to
Mhm.
start. Like you mentioned, it can do a fair amount and it's easily integratable with WordPress. So we
Yes.
can get it connected and we can get things working for you. So I think those are two really good options. But obviously I'm biased with ConvertKit too, because that's where what I use and I really love working at.
Yeah, and I think most email marketing softwares are fine. Like, most of them I don't have an issue with. My only not generally a huge fan of Mailchimp because it's a little clunky with the way their automations work, but it's still better than if you I know no I know you focus on WordPress, but I know if anyone who is a Squarespace user, their email marketing software is just too limited. Like, you can't even identify who is a subscriber who isn't opening your emails, and well, you can if you go into each individual email, but you wanna be able to clean up your email list periodically, and something like Squarespace email function is just too limited in my opinion, so I think it is worth it to get something. So, but
Nice. Okay, and so I have one last question. I thought maybe you could leave me with what would be one thing that maybe someone like me who's a little bit more like who's doing email marketing, has got the tags, what I could do to up level my email marketing game, which I have an idea because of our earlier comment about
yes.
pages. But then and then for someone maybe who is just starting out, what could they do to up level their game?
Okay, so someone who's let's start with someone who's just getting started because I don't wanna forget that, is again, just keep it really simple. Like, if can you think of one question? And I learned from another email marketer named Yuval Ackerman that is called zero party data, that you can asking that question that will help you learn a little bit more about them. Even if you aren't doing anything with that information yet, just having it can, help you to later on to do things like segmenting and more personalization, which does bring me to, the next part when you're ready to, if you have been doing this and you're ready to up level, is thinking about how you can do more targeting. So sending more targeted emails. So doing more personalization slash or personalization and or segmentation. So I look at segmentation as like the who and the how. So that's how you use the tags and whatever information you have about your subscribers to kind of create groups of folks. So maybe it is, oh my gosh, like let's say you were doing an offer for someone, Jenny, who wanted a full website build and you were focusing on like people in the health and wellness industry. Like you could create a segment of those like you would based on whatever tags you have, that would be your segments. You're taking people who are tagged, they want a full website build, and they are tagged that they are in the health and wellness industry, and I totally made that up, so off the top of my head, that would be a segment. Versus personalization is more the what, like, what is the message they see? So maybe you're sending an email to your whole list of people who've self-identified as I want a website built. People who, in this case, people who are identified as health and wellness might say, see the message, help you build a website for your health and wellness business. And that health and wellness business is the personalization versus someone who is, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of another category. Just a service provider for other business owners. Like, they would see, like, because you're a service provider for other business owners, obviously, you wouldn't word it like that. They would see a slightly different thing. It's the same offer, you're just personalizing it, you're positioning it for them, for your audience.
Okay, I love the personalization, and I actually watched one of your other videos a while ago about this, and I actually do it. I used it in the reverse way. So, like, I send information to my list just to update them on, like, things they can do to
Mhm.
fix their current websites, and then I have an offer. And what I do is, if they've been a client of mine, then they don't see the offer
Yes,
because, like, it's for a website build. So
exactly.
that's the way I've been doing personalization,
Yeah.
but I love, like, thinking about I need to get more information so that I can
Mhm.
personalize it to
Yeah.
understand who they are.
But that was a great example that you just gave, that sometimes personalization also means not seeing something, like,
Mhm.
because you're a client, like you said, they wouldn't see the offer for the thing that they already got.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else we forgot to mention or you
Oh
wanted
my
to share
gosh.
about email marketing?
I feel like we covered so much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess just to tie it back in is that as we talk a lot about, we've been talking about tagging and segmentation. And a cool thing you can do with emails that you've sent is most of them allow you to do this in ConvertKit. It's called link triggers, where basically someone clicks on a link, they're automatically tagged with something. And usually you're set, you have to send them somewhere. So you can either use your website and create like a fun generic, thanks for blah blah blah, like, thank you for voting or taking action. Or you can take it a step further and use the content you already have on your website, this great website you built. So if someone is self-identifying as something and you have something like a blog post, for example, that relates to what they clicked on, you can say like, "Oh, great, because you clicked on this, you might be interested in this blog post I wrote about this topic."
That's a great way to use what you already have on your website because we
Yes.
all have so much content on there and
Yep.
it would be nice to be repurposed and share it out.
Yes. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I've learned so much, son. I like can't wait to go copy my forms and put them on my certain pages.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us kind of if someone was interested in working with you, what they could do and how you guys could work together?
Yeah. So I offer, a few different ways few different ways I work with people. You can do a one-off power hour if you have like something very specific that you need support with, either something technical in ConvertKit or even some strategy support in thinking through your own subscriber strategy and how you might want to identify folks. I also offer a variety of done for you and done with you services. And I also have, if you like learning on your own and implementing, I also offer the subscriber strategy training that dives really deep into all of this. But you can find links to all of this if you go to my yourpersonaltechfairy.com/hello. And of course, you can sign up for my newsletter there as well.
Love it. I will put all those links in the show notes so that people can access all that information. And that's a great use case if you want to see in the footer. That
Yeah,
let her
you will
sign up
see
and how
it.
she can.
Ac Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I know that you will see it because it's a ConvertKit form, but when your thank you page redirects after you sign up, you will see it in the footer.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your email marketing wisdom with us. And I'll have to report back and let you know once I do those duplicating forms where
Oh,
everyone's coming from.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear it.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Jenny.
All right. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast all the way to the end. I really appreciate you being here. Please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it can help. If you like this episode, then I want to invite you to visit jennybdesigns.com, where you'll find videos and resources to help make your current website work even harder for you. And if you're feeling like your current website doesn't truly reflect you or your brand today, it's not attracting your ideal clients or making sales, or maybe you just feel embarrassed by it and it's holding your business back, then reach out. I'd love to help you design a website that truly reflects you, works for you 24/7, bringing in those ideal clients and making you money. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time for another new episode.